video. Subscribe to the Whispers of the Weird channel. 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 Since then, the custom of name hung, ghost parish, has been widely passed. One of the reasons this terrifying custom is still maintained by some people is due to the Chinese belief that daughters are not considered one's own children. And when a daughter dies unmarried, there will be no one to worship her. Therefore, out of love for their daughter, they often seek another deceased single person so that the incense and offerings for their child will be taken care of by the husband's side. This also applies to girls who have reached marriageable age and remain single. To avoid public ridicule for having an older unmarried daughter, they often choose a day to marry a deceased yet then move in and care for the deceased husband's family. As for men, according to folk beliefs, if a man dies while still single, they will force a family member to accompany them to the other world for companionship. Especially young men who are engaged, because when someone dies suddenly, to prevent their soul from haunting and bringing disaster to the family. There are also cases where some families arrange a marriage for their deceased son due to inheritance reasons. Because when the deceased has a nominal wife, the family can then find a male nephew to be adopted as the deceased son. Afterward, the nephew will inherit the assets and be responsible for offering his. In general, the rituals for a Ming Han are similar to a normal wedding. This family must also give gifts to the bride. All food and drinks are real. Only the clothes and jewelry or paper offerings burned after the ceremony. If both the bride and groom are deceased, they are represented by effigies. Throughout the ceremony, the effigies are treated and spoken to as if they were alive. Afterward, the families of the bride and groom will choose an auspicious day to exhume her, and the girl will be buried next to the young man she was married to. Today, although banned and considered illegal, Name Hun still exists in some remote rural areas. These are places heavily influenced by backward customs in China. Some well-off rural families are still willing to pay a large sum to buy a ghost bride for their unfortunate deceased son. For this reason, this backward custom has evolved and led to other social evils and crimes. Many people, for the huge immediate profits, have resorted to grave robbing, trafficking corpses, and even killing innocent. It is estimated that a recently deceased female corpse on the black market can cost up to $30,000, equivalent to nearly $700. The story of ant stings celebrating adulthood in Brazil. Coming-of-age rituals are always a memorable occasion for teenagers in many countries. However, contrary to typical celebratory parties, the Sotera Malay tribe living in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil has an extremely frightening way of celebrating this event. Accordingly, to be recognized as adults, young men of this tribe must prove their courage by allowing hundreds of ants to sting them. TV noteworthy if they weren't. This ant species is famous for having the most painful sting in the world, not only causing victims pain but also potential. However, for the Sotera Malay tribe, allowing bullet ant stings helps young men cultivate courage and inherent resilience to overcome future fears. Besides this spiritual belief, they also believe that the ant's venom can increase resistance to diseases caused by monsoon winds. To prepare for the coming-of-age ritual, elders go into the forest and capture bullet ants. then soak it in a liquid similar to an anesthetic, before placing it into special gloves woven from leaves. The boy's teeth will be painted black with charcoal, and parts like the face, stomach, and back will be decorated with many patterns. When the official ceremony begins, the boys must wear a pair of gloves for 10 minutes, while tribe members will run the tribe into the road. And importantly, no matter how painful it is, the boys must remain calm, because if even a single tear falls, the ceremony must be restarted from the beginning, until the boys no longer cry. Eating the ashes of the dead in Brazil and Venezuela. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, on the border between Venezuela and Brazil, is the home of the Yanomami indigenous tribe, also known as Yanam or Senema. Because their lives are so isolated from the outside world, the Yanomami community still maintains many strange and terrifying customs, among which is the practice of eating the ashes of the dead. The people here have long believed in the existence of the spiritual world, and they think performing this ritual allows the deceased's body to merge with the living, helping the departed soul gain strength to overcome trials on the journey to the afterlife. When someone in the tribe passes away, the people begin the rituals to send them to the other world. However, not everyone is allowed to participate in this ritual. Only men and respected members of the tribe are permitted. They must bathe thoroughly and clean all their belongings, including knives and arrows they carry. When the sun sets, these people will proceed to cremate the deceased on a funeral pyre. During that time, they will stay there and continuously stoke the fire to speed up the cremation process. After this task is completed, the ashes of the deceased will be placed in a mortar and ground until they become powder. This powder will then be stored in dried boards and kept in a solemn place in the house. Within a year after that, the Yanomami family will take the ashes out and prepare them into various dishes on the memorial day of the deceased. All tribe members will together consume these horrifying dishes and are not allowed to leave anything behind. Celebrating New Year's Eve at the cemetery in Chile. New Year's Eve is a sacred moment marking the transition from the old year to the new. And people around the world have different ways of celebrating it. Some enjoy the atmosphere of gathering with family, while others revel in lively parties. However, in the city of Talca in central Chile, people spend the final moments of the year at the cemetery, welcoming the new year with their departed. In fact, this custom did not exist before. It only began to appear in 1995. At that time, cemeteries in Talca City were all closed on New Year's Eve. However, one family found a way to climb over the fence to celebrate New Year's Eve. Moved by this story, the local authorities decided to change the regulations and allow cemeteries to open. Since then, many residents in the city visit their relatives' graves at the moment of transition between the old, and gradually, it has become an interesting custom as it is today. When visiting graves, families usually light candles and bring some snacks and drinks. And they will stay by their relatives' graves until after midnight to ensure the departed do not feel lonely. They also believe that this tradition brings peace to the soul and brings much luck to the family in the new year. Dancing with the dead in Madagascar. Madagascar is an island nation composed of the island of Madagascar and many smaller islands in the Indian Ocean, separated from the mainland by Mozambique. Not only does this island nation impress tourists with its diverse natural landscapes and rich ecosystems, but it also arouses curiosity. It is an island nation that can help relatives often and help relatives often. It is an island nation that also arouses curiosity usually. It is the custom of dancing with the dead called Hana. In Madagascar, death is not the end but just another form of life. Therefore, every 7 years, the people here exhume their relatives' graves and perform many rituals with, specifically, the bones will be exhumed and taken out of the tomb, feet first and head last, and wrapped in new shrouds with the deceased's name written on them. The old cloth pieces will be given to the women in the family, who will place them under their sleeping mats, hoping to bring good luck to the family. The people will feed food and pour drinks to the dead, then carry the bodies on their heads to parade around the burial area and dance to traditional music. Notably, no one cries or shows sorrow, but remains very joyful, believing they are expressing love and respect for the departed relatives. Before sunset, the bones will be returned to the grave, then buried along with gifts of money and alcohol, this time head first and feet last, because the cycle of life and death. In fact, organizing the Famadihana ritual is quite costly, as each family needs to prepare many things, including lavish meals for guests and clothing for both the living and the dead. If any family avoids the Famadihana ritual, they will be considered sinful and looked down upon by the local. Therefore, many poor families in Madagascar have to save money for years to afford the funeral expenses for their ancestor. Bride and groom forbidden from bathing for 3 days after the wedding in Indonesia and Malaysia. Marriage is a significant event, and each place has a special way to mark it. For example, in the Thailand tribe in northern Borneo, an area between Indonesia. After the joyful and colorful wedding ceremony, the bride and groom enter their honeymoon with the first challenge, refraining from bathing and personal hygiene for 3 days. The story sounds like a joke, but has actually been practiced for generations in the Thailand tribe. And all generations of residents here must, with the belief that if newlyweds can endure these challenges, their marriage should be long-lasting and happy, and their children will be healthy. If not followed, it will be considered a bad omen. One of the two will be unfaithful, or their children will be prone to ill. Therefore, to ensure the custom is strictly followed, both families will assign adults to closely supervise the bride and groom immediately after the wedding ceremony. The couples are confined indoors, not allowed to go outside, and are provided with only. After exactly 3 days and 3 nights, they are then permitted to bathe, use the toilet, and return to normal. The bride must cry loudly when getting married. Typically, weddings are associated with joy, laughter, and happiness as the bride and groom embark on their new life together. However, this does not apply to Tujia brides in Sichuan province, China, as they are required to cry loudly when going to their husband's home. In fact, the custom of the bride crying at weddings is quite common. To be able to cry loudly and mournfully, brides usually practice crying for an hour each day starting 1 month before the wedding. After 10 days, the bride's mother joins in the crying practice, and other Tujia people also participate. Other Tujia people will also join in the crying practice. Thus, the scene of brides practicing crying is a distinctive image of the Tujia people. Thanks to this, the bride can cry very loudly and mournfully. In fact, brides often have to practice crying for an hour each. After 10 days, the bride's mother joins in the crying practice, and in the following days, all the women. According to Tujia beliefs, the bride crying at the wedding demonstrates her filial piety, gratitude, and virtue for both families. Additionally, the crying is seen as a blessing for a fulfilling and fortunate married life ahead. If a bride does not cry on her wedding day, she will be scolded by the groom's family and even looked down upon by neighbors. In Vietnamese culture, slapping someone's buttocks is considered. However, to the Hmong people, the custom of butt slapping is a unique tradition, deeply rooted in the cultural identity of. Specifically, on the second day of the Lunar New Year, during the Saisan festival, besides activities like throwing cow, spinning toss, and playing with whipping toss, young men and women also take the opportunity to slap each other. According to this custom, when going spring outing at the market or at the foot of the mountain, if a young man fancies a girl, he will approach and slap her butt. If the chosen girl also takes a liking to the young man, she will slap his buttocks back. In this way, the two will slap each other back and forth a total of 9 times, meaning they have accepted each other and only await the day to marry. Above are the 10 most unique and strange customs in the world. What are your thoughts on these customs? Please leave your comments below the video. Hello and see you again in the next video. Subscribe to the DM Neo channel so you don't miss exciting videos.